to look at how many days until the NFL season. Let's see here. Days until September 4th. 91 days. We are 1 day away from 3 months. It's coming fast.
Yeah.
Fast. And we're getting news. James is here. As always, as usual. But yeah, news is starting to leak in. We took a little bit of a break, but we're back. So I think we were live Saturday or Sunday, I guess. But you're better with the news than I am, so you can kind of run us through some of the news. I know we talked a little bit about it, but a couple injury-related stuff with Anthony Richardson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Don't think the Amon-Ra St. Brown stuff's that big, right? It's like a cleanup.
Well, according to him, but I think what happens at these OTAs, or I'm sorry, these mini camps, since they're mandatory, and if guys aren't there, how everybody will start asking questions and all the other crap, and then it'll become a big deal. So that's why we get the information about Anthony Richardson, and didn't he have a shoulder issue his rookie year?
It was one of these first 2 years.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm glad I don't have him on any teams, which is the guy's a great player. I've said back in March, not that it's a news shaker or, stop the presses, that I just said Daniel Jones is going to play. Well, Daniel Jones is definitely going to play. So,
yeah.
St. Brown said, I had knee surgery, so he'll probably be sitting on the sideline when they have the mini camp. If they're going to have a mini camp. I thought they weren't going to, but he announced it. The team didn't announce it, so just kind of different. Doesn't say what kind of knee surgery, and I think previous year he had another problem. He had like a core muscle or oblique or something like that, and we didn't hear anything about it or any of that other stuff. So I guess I ain't gonna worry about that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. It's just, I think it was just, usually you hear about those things, and when they happen or shortly after they happen. So I think that was just really the only surprise there. So, but yeah, we are.
They got to start spilling the beans. They can't hide the stuff anymore,
Yeah. But like I said, we're 91 days away. A little bit of the dead zone of the Dynasty fantasy period, but we have mini camps happening or going to be happening soon. So we'll get some information there, and then we have about a month and a half off, kind of not a lot of news, and then we start getting into training camp, and then we all start overreacting and freaking out to things. So yeah, the A-Rich stuff is not great. We talk about it all the time. Very inexperienced, and he needs all the reps he can get. So it matters for him a lot more than anyone else.
He's rehabbing more than he's repping, and that's a problem. And as I watched the coach this morning, I think on one of the NFL shows or something, and just the way he was, what's his name, Steichen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the way he was talking about it, you could tell it just seemed different. So it just seemed like, he's got this shoulder problem, and the dude hasn't played a game since when? Like October, November?
No, I think he got in.
Did he get in?
He was playing.
Oh, he was playing late. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. He actually, after he got basically benched, he wasn't that bad. So, but yeah, we're just doing a little Q&A. If you have questions, trade questions, buy low players, deep stashes, whatever questions you have, you can ask them. Redraft or Dynasty. We're going to go over some Dynasty startup stuff where we just kind of look at. I think there's like interesting groups of positions, like a few wide receivers that are all going around each other and just kind of talking through, who we prefer over others and why. And we got to shout out our guy Rip Lips here, who dropped $20, which is incredibly generous as always. He's been playing flag football. Are you going to go for the Olympic team? You're going to go play out. I appreciate you.
Sean Payton's going to be the coach.
Is he?
No, I don't know. They asked him a question and he didn't say anything back. Yeah. So that's
when he was suspended, he was coaching flag football for like his son or some kids or something like that. So maybe that's where that's coming from. But
we didn't mention Rodgers, but that
yeah, guess we should.
Yeah, well, it's got some impact. The guy's going to play most of the year unless he has a catastrophic injury. So, I mean, if you drafted him, if you have him on a dynasty or you drafted him on a dynasty startup, hopefully he's your third or fourth quarterback. If you have that many, not everybody kind of goes that deep. I've learned recently, but dude's going to play whether you like him or you don't. He's probably going to have very similar numbers what he had with the Jets. So
yeah, yeah, we've been missing you, Rip Lips, for sure, but all good. We know people have lives and can't join all the time, so we always appreciate you and everyone else, Joseph, Benjamin, all our other viewers that kind of pop in on most of our streams. So I appreciate it. And we're excited to kind of get into when we get closer to July and start getting a bigger crowd and just talking more real life stuff. So, but yeah, we're doing good. We're all in California. We're all in the same time zone. So for the next month, so it'll be a lot of fun. But anyways, yeah, appreciate you a lot. Miss you. Keep joining us and keep the questions coming if you have them. He'll definitely get another chance with another team. I mean,
yeah, I would say, yeah,
someone's going to say I can fix that, and all the ability and talent is there. I mean, whether it's he's going to get a starting job or he's going to be a backup. I mean, Trey Lance is still getting $10 million contracts and stuff, and
that's a bigger joke than Anthony Richardson.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Somehow he's done less than Anthony Richardson. So
yeah,
yeah.
He'll get a chance. He just won't. I mean, his contract will be low. Whatever backup quarterback stuff is, or third string. I don't even know where Trey Lance is at now. He's not in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's on the Chargers.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the backup, maybe the backup, or he's the QB3 or something. Although I kind of agree with that style. I talked about it in the last show, I think, or maybe it was before that. But like, if you're gonna have a backup quarterback, like, why just have a worse version of your starter and not like change it up a little bit? So like Taylor Heineke is just a worse version of Justin Herbert. Like. Put in someone like a Lance who can maybe like actually win you a couple games because of his legs and stuff like that. So, but James says he's in a startup right now, and he already has Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey, James Cook, and Chuba coming around at the turn. I want to double tap RB. Who should I take? So you're saying James Cook and Chuba are both there, or you have James Cook and Chuba?
I think he's. The way, wait a second. I have Kenneth Walker or
RJ Harvey.
Well, if Chuba's there, I think I'd be taking Chuba
over James Cook.
Yeah, James Cook's going to be whining about his contract. So
okay, so he only has JT and the others are there. Okay, so he has Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey, Cook, and Chuba coming on the turn. So which of these two? He wants to double tap. So pick two of those four that you would take: Kenneth Walker, Harvey, Cook, and Chuba.
Probably Cook and Chuba is where I would lean.
It's a tough one. I think upside, ignoring Harvey because we don't really know yet. Of the three between Walker, Cook, and Chuba, I actually think Walker has the most upside. Like, I wouldn't be, if I had to choose one, if you told me one of those three finished as like the RB3 next year, I think I would go with Kenneth Walker. There's a little bit of uncertainty there with a new coaching staff and all of that, or I guess a new offensive coordinator. Yeah. But yeah, I think I would lean. Ooh, that's tough, man.
Doesn't Kenneth Walker have? I don't know if it's injury problems, but there's some injury issues or something. I don't know if they're significant, but he does look like he could hit a home run every time he gets the ball. I mean, he looked that way in college too. So Michigan State and stuff like that. But
yeah, I think I would Harvey, go.
You had a good point about the New Orleans Sean Payton running backs and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think I would go Harvey and Kenneth Walker. I think I would take Kenneth Walker first out of these guys, just with the belief of that upside. The James Cook contract stuff bothers me a little bit. I mean, if he holds out, he's going to have just guys holding out in general. If they hold out for a significant amount of time, they don't do well. And so I would think I would go Kenneth Walker, Harvey. I don't mind Kenneth Walker. Or I don't mind, honestly, like I would say like Cook, I say all those guys are in the same tier for me. So like I would go for what you kind of lean personally, but I think I'd go Walker and Harvey. And then Cook, Chuba, with knowing that there's a risk with James Cook a little bit there. So, but yeah, they're all kind of in that same tier for me, to be honest. I just like the upside of Walker and Harvey. James Cook's an interesting one. Like he's going to need, I mean, the guy had 18 touchdowns last year, 18 total touchdowns last year. Like he hasn't been, I don't know. Is he, it's tough because in 2023 he had over almost 1,600 total yards, 6 touchdowns. Last year he goes like almost 1,250 and 18. Never been the big catch guy. So I think I go Walker and Harvey, but I don't really mind any combination of the two. But that's my personal thoughts here. Rip Lips is the GOAT for sure. Mr. Magic's here. Mr. Magic's our redraft guy. We got to be getting into redraft Dynasty redraft mocks here soon. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll start those up. Joseph says he feels like Anthony Richardson's going to have a Justin Fields-like career path. Yeah, the problem is we just need to see more. Like at least Justin Fields was out there and playing. Whether he was playing well or not, you can argue, but at least he was out there, right? And like showed something, showed potential. But I could, I don't know. I could definitely, it's just one of those things. If the guy plays, he's good, right? If he plays, he's good. So, Kevin, what's up? What's up, Kevin? And then we have in the middle of a controlled demolition of one of my teams. Okay. So he traded, he made the trades. He traded T. Higgins for their 27 first, 28 second, and Tucker Kraft. Garrett Wilson for a 26 and 27 first. I think basically you maximized your value for both those players. Like I don't think you're getting more than 2 firsts for Garrett Wilson. And I don't think you're getting more than like a first, a second, and a startable piece for T Higgins. Maybe even you can even say like if that's like they're 27 and 28. So I'd say that's about both those are about like you kind of maximize both those players. So if you're kind of doing a controlled demolition or a soft rebuild or whatever it is, then I think what you did here was good. I mean, do you think he can get more than, let's say, 2 firsts for Garrett Wilson? I don't think he can get much more than that.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that would probably not be too bad. Those draft picks of 27 and 28, that's for my liking, that's just a little too far down the road, you know.
Yeah, but we always say, you're not necessarily holding on to those to draft. So like those can bring you value this year. They can bring you value in the offseason next year. Like you don't have to, just hold them and wait until 27 or 28.
Yeah,
but,
that's a good point, but they can be some more draft capital for you to do something else. So
I mean, if it was a 26 first, a 27 second in Tucker Kraft, I think he would have kind of really won that trade, like a first and a second and Tucker Kraft. So now that you push those both out, I think it basically makes that like an even trade, maybe slightly in the favor of the 27 side. So I like it. So he now has 7 firsts in the next 2 years.
Oh my God.
And by the way, the 27 class, I know we're multiple years out. 27 class, though, is shaping up to look pretty damn good. We got 2 pretty elite receivers, potentially guys like Arch Manning coming out in that draft, things like that. So, and still have Josh Allen, BTJ, and Laporta on the squad. So you have 3 kind of foundational pieces there. You have 7 picks in the next 2 years. Yeah. And sometimes it's just fun to do these, like he calls it, a controlled demolition. Where it's like, you know what, I've competed or I won the league already, and let's kind of do a little fun little rebuild here. So Mr. Magic says, do we see Breece Hall finishing top 5? So can we see it happening? Yes, I could see it happening. Do we see it happening?
Top 5 running back?
Top 5 running back.
I see it.
You see it this year? Like you would bank on that this year, or you could see it as like a possibility?
I see it as a really good possibility, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We know their offense and everything else is going to change now. So
okay, so let's say Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, you would say those guys are going to finish higher than Breece, right?
Yeah, probably.
Genty?
Yeah,
it's hard with rookies.
Huh?
It's hard with rookies.
No, it's hard, but my God, I think Pete Carroll is just gonna feed him the ball, man. So I think, if he can handle it, and if he's as good as they say, so yeah. But back to the original question, I see it, yeah.
Yeah, my only issue is, like you said, okay, Bijan, Gibbs, Barkley, and then you still have guys like Genty, Achane, McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving. Like that's 7 players on top of the first 3. I would bank on no, but I could see it happening. I would bank on like not having him top 5. I think I would have him closer to like the second half of the top 10. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. So, by the way, Derrick Henry's going to get 2,000 yards this year. Did you hear this story?
No.
He was on the Dan Patrick show, and they somehow came up that he is an Adam Sandler fan, and Dan Patrick has been in like the Adam Sandler movies and is buddies with Adam Sandler. And he said, if you rush for 2,000 yards, you'll be in a movie. I'll get you in an Adam Sandler movie. So Derrick Henry's going to rush for 2,000 yards next year. It's happening. He almost did this last year. I think we forget about that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because of Saquon. He was like 75 yards away or whatever it was. So Cousins finds a landing spot. Man, who would he go to now? Would it have to be like mid-season someone trades for him or like?
Well, it seems like we were all leaning towards Cleveland, but that was kind of before the draft. So why would you do that? I mean, I don't see the Cleveland thing because they still owe Deshaun Watson a lot of money. I don't know. Yeah, what is the landing spot? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean, I'm just looking through the teams here.
Seattle?
No. I mean, they got Darnold and Milrow. I'm sure they're happy with that. Like Indianapolis, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm just trying to. I mean, New Orleans is always going to be a possibility, depending on what do this. Is that what the Saints want to do? Like bring in an old Kirk Cousins to go potentially like 8 and 9 or whatever. Like if you even get to that, Giants. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Giant. There's not many spots left for them, right? So he has to find it somewhere, but it might be like a mid-season type of thing. Yeah, might be a mid-season.
It's going to take an injury or something.
Training camp injury. Some team gets desperate. So
it will be an odd situation though to see him sit there making $50 or $100 million not doing anything.
Yeah, it would. No worries, Joe. So yeah, keep the topics, questions coming for sure. That's what we're here for. He said he's talking about some buy lows or guys you're targeting in your league and who you're trying to trade. Yeah, so I kind of interpret targeting as kind of like buy lows. You know, obviously I want Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen and those guys, but in terms of guys that you can kind of reasonably get at a price. Quarterback position, I mean, there's just really good value just because there's a lot of quarterbacks now. Bryce Young, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, you know, even guys like Tua. I think Tua's ranked as the keep trade cut QB 25. And it's always tricky with rankings because it's like, you know, someone has to be 25 and stuff like that. So it depends on, does someone view him as a low-end QB2 or is he just kind of ranked there, but we still view him as a potential low-end QB1? Tua last year, I think people would – I bring this up a lot, but like Tua was – if you take out Joe Milton and Jimmy Garoppolo from the database, was QB 13 in points per game because both Milton and Garoppolo played one game. So it's, you know, we'll take those two guys out. He'd be QB 13 in points per game, Tua. And that includes at least one, maybe 2 games where he, you know, got injured and left early. So, like, he was, like, kind of, you know, he was cooking there in the middle of the season. He had 4 straight weeks of 23 or more points in I think, 4-point per passing touchdown. So he's a guy that I think people are just, like, not valuing as high. I picked him up in we did a listener league startup last week. I picked him up in round 8, which I thought was pretty good value for him. So he's someone that I think people like the perception of him is like, oh, he's not very good, but he's like, oh, actually he was pretty good last year. And what if they get back a little bit more to like 2023? Some running backs. I mean, always the veteran guys I'm going to try and get value out of. I think Tony Pollard's a little underrated. RB35. I mean, he was the RB22 last year on a worse offense. Like Tony Pollard, if you look at his stats, they've basically the last 3 years they've been exactly the same. Here's his total yards from scrimmage the last 3 years: 1378, 1316, 1317. Here's his catches: 39, 55, 41. So, you know, kind of in that mid 40 range average, right?
Consistency.
The problem is the touchdowns. He had 12 in 2022. He's had 11 combined the last 2 years. So this offense should be better. What if it's, again, I keep saying this, and I'm going to mention another guy to buy low on. What if Cam Ward has a Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert like effect on the offense, on the team? And guys are going to benefit from this. Who's going to benefit? Tony Pollard. Calvin Ridley, who's another one of my buy lows. Calvin Ridley's ranked as like in the 50s or 60s. I think that's crazy. If Calvin Ridley's healthy all year, I would be shocked if he's outside the top 30 to 35 of wide receiver ranking. So, and you're buying him as like not even a top 50 guy. So he's another guy. Like I said, Tony Pollard. Javante's. What do you think about Javante? Like, is he going to have like what Rico Dowdle did last year? Is he going to be a little bit better, a little bit worse than that?
I was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, but
basically, do you see him getting? So sorry, Dowdle had 275 touches in 16 games, right? So do you see Javante getting 17 touches a game and roughly two and a half catches a game?
No.
Are you at like 12 to 15 touches with like
I was
1.5 to 2?
Yeah, he's below the 15 line or something, and we'll see. And Jaden Blue, I know he's the next rookie everybody's in love with, but he didn't touch the ball any more than 15 times at University of Texas. So he's not a big volume guy. And I know Miles Sanders is there too, but it's like, okay.
Yeah. Jaden Blue to me is like potentially Pollard. So Javante I think is like he's a fine. I wouldn't just necessarily like buy him, like, trade a third for him. I mean, maybe I would. I kind of want to get him in on a trade, like he's part of a trade, another trade. Like he's kind of hey, throw in Javante for me and I'll make this trade with you. And who knows like what you get. To me, you get someone you're probably buying at his floor. And then you could have a top 24 guy, right? There was someone else there that I saw. Those are probably it for running backs. Wide receivers, I mentioned Ridley. Terry McLaurin. Ricky Pearsall is interesting because he's in that range of guys where, like, if Ricky Pearsall is really good, he's going to jump up to in the top 20s of wide receivers. Like if he's good this year, and he's surrounded by guys like Pickens, Mike Evans, Ayuk, like guys you kind of really struggle to see jumping up in value. Whereas I think Pearsall can really jump up in value. I'll take a shot on Tyreek Hill. Cortland Sutton's always kind of underrated. Juwan Jennings, Josh Downs. So those are some players. Sell highs. I'm always going to go at the top of the quarterback tier, in my opinion. So guys like Stroud, Herbert, Love, I'm probably going to try and down tier. I'm going to want a quarterback in return, but I'm going to try and down tier from those guys. Maybe Kenneth Walker to me is like a buy low and a sell high somehow at the same time. Just because I really don't know what he's going to do. How are we feeling about Bucky as like RB7? Deserved?
Yeah, not me.
Again, you were shocked by his total stats, over 1,500 total yards for him.
Yeah.
Almost 50 catches. And he kind of dominated the snap share at the end of the year. I mean, who should be over him? Should Travion Henderson be over him? Ranked?
No, I don't think so.
Breece Hall?
You talking about yardage or just snaps?
No, I'm talking about should he be ranked over him in Dynasty rankings, Breece Hall?
I think Brees Hall should be. Yeah, I don't know. That's cutting a fine line there.
I mean, I would guess that Bucky last year was comparable to anything Brees Hall's done. Maybe that's not true. Over stretches, was Brees Hall better than Bucky last year in terms of points per game? He actually was. That's kind of surprising in PPR. Yeah, I guess you can argue Brees Hall is over him. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, you would probably have over Bucky. I think that's more of an age thing, but Kyron should probably be over Bucky. So I don't know. He's in that range, but Bucky's potentially a sell high. Although I really like him. Not really much else, to be honest. Just kind of looking at the rankings. Wide receivers, I think Drake London's a potential sell high. I think we maybe have seen his peak, as well as Lad McConkey. I like both those guys. I think they're both going to be good. I just don't know if they're going to be like consistently top 12 good. And I can see them just being like, they're good, but they're not like elite. And so they just slowly move down as like more players get added in, and age becomes a factor. So hopefully that helps, Joseph. Emil's here. He says, thoughts on this offer? He says Baker, CMC, Saquon for Jaden Daniels, Joe Mixon, Jaden Reed, Trey Benson in 2025 second. I'd be getting the Jaden side. Okay, let's break this down here. Jaden and Joe Mixon. It's just kind of tough. How many starters, Emil, in this league? If you let me know how many in your starting lineup, not including kickers or defense, if you play with kickers and defense, like are you starting 8, starting 9? Because I think that's gonna determine a little bit here for me. Because if it's a shallow league, I would say Jaden Reed and Trey Benson don't really mean anything in those type of leagues. I'm not expecting them to mean much. I mean, they're pieces to have and there's potential, but and also, are you trying to compete this year? This is a tough one. Initial thoughts on this one? Like, I mean, you got CMC and Saquon, but like those are also pieces. Like, if either one of them gets hurt with a major injury, their value plummets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I don't usually do that, but I was looking at the age factor there. Mixon is no spring chicken either, so wow.
I think I lean the Daniel side. I think it makes it more. I think it makes it a lot easier if you have a deep starting roster. Like we in our listener leagues, we play in start 12s, where guys like Jaden Reed are actually started. Yeah, but you are giving up a lot of points. I would assume that Baker, CMC, Saquon outscore the guys that you're getting. That's how I would look at it, at least. But I think I would lean the Daniels side, just because of Daniels and him being an elite asset, especially in a shallower league. He's really, really elite. So that's a tough one. It's not easy. But again, we also don't expect Baker to have 43 total touchdowns next year, whatever he had. Like, he had 41 passing touchdowns. I think he had like 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns too. 3 rushing touchdowns. So, Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, I'm in fear of someone losing touches. Yeah, and Kevin also drops a super chat. Appreciate you, Kevin. He's thanks for distracting me while my Pacers are down. Yeah, no worries. Hopefully they can win. It's only game 1 though. Only game 1.
I hear it going on in the background. So
yeah, appreciate you, Kevin. Always in here and commenting and giving us things to talk about. So, Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, I'm in fear of someone losing touches. Yeah, Addison's tough, man, because it's like he needs those touchdowns. But all we've seen his first 2 years is that he's kind of a touchdown guy. Like he has 19 touchdowns his first 2 years, 10 and 9. So I'm really curious. Like Vikings are one of those teams it's hard to really project a little bit because I think everyone's numbers probably come down. But at the same time, we said the same thing last year. And Sam Darnold had probably one of the better, like 4,335 touchdowns, 4,300 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. Like that's Kirk Cousins that was one of his better seasons in Minnesota, I would assume. I don't think he had much better than that in Minnesota. So I think it's different though because it's a rookie. I know Sam Darnold was like a bust, but at least he had experience and everything. So, yeah, I don't know. Are you worried about guys like Addison and Hawkinson? Like, how do you view them? I guess.
I don't think Hawkinson is. I don't think he's going to lose his standing so much. Addison, yeah, I don't know. If I had to choose between one or the other, who's gonna lose? It's gonna be Addison. It's gonna be the loser.
Yeah, I think the right way to view Addison is a really good wide receiver 3. Like if you're starting him as your wide receiver 3, I think you're pretty happy because the guy can boom any game. But if you're like consistently relying on him to produce, it might be a little tough. I need to go back and look at like what are Addison's numbers the first 2 years when all 3 of those guys are on the field. I know Hawkinson missed some time last year and stuff like that, but like you look at Addison's stat line and you look at his like fantasy finishes and so, like his fantasy finishes are always pretty good. Like last year he was the wide receiver 24 in points per game, but like he had 2 big games. He had 160 yards and a touchdown, 133 yards and 3 touchdowns. 16 of his 63 catches came in 2 games. Like that's pretty significant. 16 of his 63. So we're talking about 25% of his catches came in 2 games. About a third of his yards came in those 2 games. About over almost 50% of his touchdowns came in those 2 games. So that's just the type of player he is. So he's kind of that boom bust type of guy, But I think I would agree with you. I think I'd say that Addison is the one I'd be most worried about. So Trenton says the value's on Daniel's side, but will tank your team and send you in rebuild mode. Probably it would be good. I don't know if I don't think Emil's still here or not because we haven't heard from him. But you're kind of right, like in the sense of, yeah, you could go into a rebuild mode pretty quickly there, getting rid of a lot of points in Baker, CMC, and Saquon. So I just saw something that Vegas has JJ's TD line as like 6th or 7th most. This is JJ McCarthy, you're saying, Joseph, or Justin Jefferson? Yeah, it could be Justin Jefferson just because he was. But I think it's McCarthy because we were talking about Addison and Hawkinson. Is that true? 6th or 7th most? I'm curious now. McCarthy, he said. Over under list. I don't know a good place to like. I don't do much gambling, so I don't know.
MGM Sports.
MGM Sports. He just saw it on Twitter. Yeah, that does seem kind of insane. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna try and pull this up now. I know it's always different wherever you look and stuff like that, but let me see if I can pull something up here. So Burrow, looks like it's Burrow, Lamar. Yeah, so it's Burrow, Lamar, Goff, Mayfield. Goff and Mayfield are tied. Mahomes, Allen, Dak, and then McCarthy. So he's 8th on this one.
Wow.
Yeah, they have him. He's tied with Stafford. So yeah, they have him. Well, the over-under is higher than Jordan Love. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Jordan Love is also ahead of him. So Jordan Love's ahead of him, and then he's tied with Stafford and Knicks. But they have him more than Purdy, more than Jaden Daniels, Tua, Caleb, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, that's pretty insane. He's in the top 10. Maybe as high as 6 or 7 on some places. That's surprising.
Yeah, that is. And he wasn't that type of quarterback at the University of Michigan, but things can change,
Yeah. No, I mean, they kind of went towards like we're going to run the ball a little bit, right? Didn't they bring in some offensive linemen? Obviously they brought in Jordan Mason to kind of be there with. So they drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. I don't know. I think I would probably go under on his touchdown. If that's passing touchdown total, I would go under. So,
I think I would too.
Yeah, but don't take betting advice from us.
No,
That's for sure. Did want to talk. We'll probably stay live. Yeah, 100% go under. Probably stay live for another 15, 20 minutes or so. Keep the questions coming if you have them. I do think they're going to run the ball as well a lot. So, it's kind of Dynasty startup season. We're in that dead zone before redraft isn't kicking in yet. Rookie drafts are done for a lot of people. I'm using Dynasty Data Lab here. If you don't know them, check them out. They're really good website. They have a free version. They have paid versions. But this is kind of like startup ADP. It says since April. I don't think I can change the range there. I might be able to change the range. Let me see if I can change the range from like May and June. Okay, I can. But just curious about like groupings of players and where you would kind of go with some of these. I know this might be a little hard to look at for you guys, but there's one group of players. It's Garrett Wilson, JSN, McConkey, and Marvin Harrison. And I want you to kind of order those guys. Dynasty startup, Dynasty, whatever, however you want to word it. Like, how would you order those 4 players? JSN, Garrett Wilson, McConkey, and Marvin Harrison.
Probably Garrett Wilson. JSN, we're expecting him to take another.
Are we?
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
I don't know.
The other guys are out of town,
Brought in Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Probably run the ball more.
So Garrett Wilson, Marvin, McConkey. Nah, that doesn't sound right. Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it is. I think McConkey would be last because I don't see McConkey getting 100 catches.
I think I agree with you.
I don't know. He just not saying he can't or anything else. It's not that I don't like the guy or any of that other crap. I don't see it in the Chargers offense and stuff like that, So
yeah. I think I agree with you. I think I would have McConkey last on this list just because I think he's probably like him or JSN to me are probably like the safest. But I kind of see like McConkey of just being that 80 to 90 catch type of guy, 1,200 yards per season, a handful of touchdowns. Like, I don't know if I ever see him taking that next step into, I know a lot of people talk about like, there's some players that come up when talking about McConkey and stuff like that, but I don't know if I just don't think the Chargers over the next couple of years, I don't see Harbaugh going anywhere. And I see this team being successful. I don't see over the next couple of years a high volume pass offense, which is why I'm kind of down on, I'm kind of down on Trey Harris as well. I know people are pretty high on him. I just don't see the volume coming for him. Just look at. I know everyone talks about what they did last year and blah blah. Blah. Look at what the moves this team made. They brought in Mekhi Becton, a big old guard who was on the Eagles, and it's just he's a mauler in the run game. They brought in Najee Harris and drafted Omarion Hampton. What do you think this team's going to do? I know you can say they drafted Trey Harris and
then
that, but like
there's also they got a new center, I think.
I think they did too.
Yeah. So their interior offensive line almost completely changed. That whole Mekhi Becton, who's like a, he's like Bigfoot size. And Joe Alt, he's like Bigfoot Jr. on the right side. They're just going to mash people, man. And if Omarion Hampton is the dude everybody thinks he is, it's just going to be run right.
Yeah.
Smash people.
Yeah. So out of these four, who do you say has the most upside? I tell you, one of these four is a top 5 wide receiver in points per game and total points, like a legitimate top 5 wide receiver. Who are you choosing?
Probably Garrett Wilson.
Okay. I think I might lean Marvin Harrison there. Top 5. It's interesting with Garrett Wilson. I'm not like, strongly saying that over, Marvin Harrison over Garrett Wilson, but it's like, so what's it going to take for Garrett Wilson to get there? Because it's like, you can't say he needs more targets because the guy's had, we read off the list, right? He's like top 8 over the last since he's been a rookie. There's like 8 players who've had 450 targets or more, and they're like Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. They're all the studs, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, whoever, I forget exactly who it was, but they're all the guy, every one of them except for Garrett Wilson were like top 5, even top 10 wide receivers. And I know Garrett Wilson finished as a top 10 wide receiver last year, but I tend to look more at points per game. He was wide receiver 21 in points per game. That was his best season. Now you can make the argument and say, look at what he was doing in the beginning of the year, Garrett Wilson, before Devontae Adams came. That's what we're kind of expecting this year. Obviously, different quarterback, right? He was putting up massive numbers. So I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think I'd lean Marvin Harrison out of this group, shooting for upside, and I acknowledge it's the biggest risk, but I would probably go Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, JSN McConkey. A lot of it could be on team build and shares that I have. If I have a lot of shares of Marvin Harrison, then I'm going to diversify. But if I'm just doing a startup right now, it's my first one ever. I think I lean Harrison, Wilson, JSN, McConkey. So, but again, fully acknowledging that the first 2 I picked are probably the riskiest in that they could drop in value the most. If Garrett Wilson has another good, not great season, if Marvin Harrison doesn't show out, they're going to start dropping significantly in value. So, the other group is a group of quarterbacks. It's Cam. It's down a little bit further here. It's Kyler Murray, Baker, and Cam. They're all going in this round 4 between, basically the first half of round 4, essentially. How do you rank those 3 guys? Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Cam Ward.
Well, I think I'm going to go Baker, then Kyler, then Cam Ward. I'm not picking a guy who just got here, new kid on the block, Cam Ward. We don't even know how improved the team is, So we kind of know what we're going to be getting with Baker in the offense. I know they change coaches and all that other stuff. Kyler Murray, yeah, they weren't great, but that's the way I see it, though. Baker, Kyler, Cam Ward.
Yeah. This is a tough one too. I think I lean Kyler still, just because of the rushing, and it's such a cheat code for quarterbacks. Like again, Kyler last year, I think we all come to the agreement it was kind of a disappointment for fantasy, for real life, whatever. And he was still, again, if you remove Joe Milton and Jimmy Garoppolo, he was still QB 12 points per game. He was a little bit of a boom bust type of guy. Wasn't consistent. We like to see a little bit more consistency with our quarterbacks. But that's just how it was a down year for Kyler, and he was still a top 12 quarterback. Now it's been a while since we've seen him be like a top 5 guy he was a couple of years ago, maybe like even back in 2020, 2021 over the majority of the season. But I think I lean Kyler, Baker, Cam Ward. Now, the one thing I will say about Cam Ward, and it's pretty stupid how people rank Dynasty and stuff, but like Jared Goff, who just came off maybe his best season, was QB7 as something. He was like a legit top 7, top 8 quarterback, is ranked as the keep trade cut QB21. Why? Because of his age, right? So if Cam Ward and Baker, let's just say Baker throws for 32 and 4,500 and decent on the ground, and Cam Ward goes for like 24 and 3,800 and turns the Titans around where they were fighting for a playoff spot, Cam Ward's going to be way up the rankings. Baker Mayfield's going to float right around this top, late teens, early 20s ranking because he's already 30 years old. So that's the kind of the argument for Cam in that sense of like, if he has a Stroud like season, and go look at Stroud's numbers, they weren't like spectacular. They were really good. 23 and 5, 4,100 yards and stuff, but it wasn't like, holy crap. I know he missed a couple games too, but so that's kind of the argument for Cam Ward there. Couple more here before we take off. Some wide receivers. It's this group of players down here. The Jameson Williams, Jalen Waddle, and DK Metcalf, all going in round 7, about middle to end of round 7 for the most part. So we have Metcalf, Waddle, Jameson Williams. How would you order those guys?
Probably Metcalf, JMO, and then Waddle.
I think Metcalf is first here. I think
he's happy. He's been paid. Got a new quarterback.
I mean, just look at Rodgers' history with targeting guys. Like, it's like hyper targeting Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson and stuff. Like, who else is going to take targets away from DK Metcalf in that offense?
Yeah, nobody.
Who? Go ahead and tell me what do you think the depth chart of the Steelers wide receiver 1, 2, 3 is?
Well, I know Roman Wilson's in there somewhere.
He's technically listed as the 4th wide receiver, but
they got some fast guy.
Oh, you mean Calvin Austin?
Yeah.
Who's their wide receiver 3? That's what Calvin Austin is listed. Who's their wide receiver 2?
I don't know.
Robert Woods.
Oh boy.
So a fine veteran, but he shouldn't be your wide receiver 2 for any team right now. So, and then beyond that, like you said, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller. You got Pat Freiermuth, who could have a good year. DK Metcalf easily could have the best season of his career. We've been kind of waiting for it with him, but we could finally see it. Kind of no competition. Arguably his best quarterback he's ever played with. I mean, you have Russ, late career Russ. Probably Russ in like 2019, 2020 was better. But it's not a huge drop off from late career Russ before he went to the Broncos Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, you think he's going to put up similar numbers last year. So yeah, I think I go Metcalf, Waddle, JMO there. I think I go Metcalf, Waddle, JMO. I just think there's more upside with guys like Metcalf and Waddle. I think Jameson, to me, it feels like he falls a little bit into like that Addison type of boat of like good player, is going to be top 20, top 24, but can he be like top 12? Can he be top 15? It's going to be tough. But that being said, like, you just need a little bit more progression from him, right? So, yeah, kind of interesting players there. All right, last one, and then we'll take off here. We got some tight ends. We got Colston Loveland. We got Colston Loveland, George Kittle, and Hawkinson. They're all going late 6th, early 7th round. Colston Loveland, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. Who are we taking between those guys?
Yeah, Kittle, Hawkinson, then Loveland.
Yeah, that's exactly how I have it. Right now, it's Loveland, Kittle, Hawkinson. So Loveland's going before those guys, and I get it. It's because he's young. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you know. Talk to me next year, man.
Yeah, Kittle. I mean, is awesome. Like, he's so good, so freaking good. I mean, one of his best seasons. He's coming off of one of his best seasons in a while, and I know he's 31, 32, but just got a contract extension. He can play a couple more years for sure. So yeah, that was a pretty easy one, but we'll be talking more Dynasty startup stuff over the next month or two, as well as kind of transitioning into redraft. I know a lot of our viewers are Dynasty people. We only have one channel as of now. Maybe eventually we'll switch to like a redraft and only channel. We'll see. But, redraft is relevant to Dynasty. And we're always going to talk about Dynasty, in our live streams and stuff. And we're never going to stop putting out videos of Dynasty. But it's so tied to redraft, and Dynasty are so tied together now that it's incredibly relevant. So, any last words? Go Pacers for our friend Kevin.
I don't care. Either one of these teams winning, as long as it's not New York, Chicago, LA, or any of those Boston type teams. So.
Well, I'm go Pacers because Kevin gave us $5 and he's a Pacers fan. So
I'm good with that.
Yeah. But yeah, we appreciate everyone. We'll probably be live again sometime over the weekend. Be releasing videos throughout the week as well. So we will we'll catch you guys all in the next live stream. So appreciate everyone for stopping in. Catch you guys all next time.